Welcome to another episode of the Writer's Game podcast, where we help you magnify your voice and monetize your message. My name is Kyle King. I'm your host, and we have somebody absolutely amazing that's going to be talking to you all today about the power of advocating for your child in the educational system. This woman is phenomenal. She is the executive director and founder of an amazing nonprofit organization here in Charlotte, North Carolina, that I'm so excited for her to talk to you guys all about. She is a parent advocate, a father advocate, and somebody that is leveraging her story, her background, and her experiences to empower not just men, but women across the world. Donna, how are you?
I'm doing great today. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I am absolutely amazing, amazing. And look, I always want people to introduce themselves because there may be things that are most important to you. How would you introduce yourself, and how are you using your story to be able to shake the world up?
All right. Well, I am Donna Hatcher. I'm better known as your favorite auntie, but I am her mommy first, which is my baby. Her name is Angel, and she is the catalyst of everything that I'm doing right now. What I want the world to know is I am just a mommy who wants to make sure that her baby make it into this world. A lot of times when you are dealing with children who happen to get labeled, they become I feel like they become a subject matter in the school system, and they're not quite looked at the same way as a child who may not have a label. So you do have to become your child's advocate because after all, we are our children's first teachers.
Of course, of course. What are some things that you've learned in the educational system that you've experienced in the educational system that you would want to shift or be different for students across the board?
Yeah, so one thing that I learned, once my daughter was diagnosed with ADHD, immediately they started telling me about getting her a 504 plan or an IEP so that she can get accommodations. But what they did not explain to me is I had the main voice in this IEP or this 504. So what they were giving me was just generic terms for my daughter. For example, she would get extended time when she's testing. That's generic across the board for most children that are diagnosed with ADHD. But what they do not tell you is you can put your own accommodations in. For example, I know that my child is a fiddler. So what I put into her 504 accommodations is a fiddle toy, and she will wear a necklace that she can either chew on or play around with. That's one of the things that most people in the educational system, they do not tell the parents that. And I am here to let the parents know you are the voice for your child's 504 or IEP, not the teachers or administration.
So people that, are coming across this interview that maybe aren't familiar with the term IEP or 504 or this process in general, could you educate people right now on this process and what these terms represent and what they mean?
So IEP is an individualized educational plan for your child. They usually will give your child an IEP when your child has behaviors attached to their diagnosis. This will assure that your child, when they're inside of the classroom, will have their individualized educational plan versus the plan that the teachers may have. So, for example, if your child is not writing their numbers correctly, what they will put in the IEP, which you have the voice to say, is you can have your child using a crayon versus a pencil.
Wow.
Something so simple, but it will work for your child because your child may have difficulty writing with a pencil. So it's an individualized educational plan. Also, with the individualized educational plan, you can have your child with extra help. For my daughter was pulled out of her classroom twice for English, ELA, and for math so that she can get additional help and time to assist with time with another parent, time with another person in administration, usually the EC teacher. And that EC teacher will come and pull the child out and work with them individually or in a small group with children that match their level so that your child will be on the same level as everyone else.
That is very interesting. Oftentimes, and in my background in the educational system, I'm very familiar with these terms. But one of the things that we recognize, especially in the Black and Brown community, is that when we hear terms like IEP and 504, we run and we identify these as labels, and we don't want to do this, and we can outwork this specific diagnosis. Can you talk to parents in the importance of leveraging
Exactly.
the IEP and leveraging the 504 to your child's benefit, and why that's actually important for you to use?
Yes. So the best leverage is for me is to mimic what happens at home in the school. So if you're a parent, for to say, like, for me, I have structure for my child. At a certain time she has to do homework, at a certain time she has to go to bed, so I have that structure. There are certain things that I will do with my child that will help her to talk to me better than just coming at her. So for an example, I prompt my child. So, hey, in 5 minutes, we are getting ready to have a conversation. This is going to allow her to prepare her mind for the conversation. What I did in her IEP and 504 accommodations is, what I would like for the teachers to do is to give her a 5-minute warning so that she can get herself together before just saying, it's time for us to pack up, let's go. No, what I need for my child is an extra 5 minutes, and it doesn't take much for you to go over to her and say, hey, in about 5 minutes, we're getting ready to clean up. So start preparing yourself now. So that's the leverage that you have as a parent, but they don't tell you that. And see, what parents feel is IEP, they're going to label my child. My child is going to be looked at as an exceptional child. But in my opinion, I would rather my child be exceptional in school than failing.
Mm. So really this process that you're talking about is really a process where parents can better advocate or navigate the educational system so that your child can excel in the classroom, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, the IEP is meant for your child to be able to excel. Once your child has reached a certain level, you can always downgrade to the 504. 504s is just accommodations. That's the little stuff that I have been mentioning, like with the crayon. Let's use a crayon versus the pencil. Those will be the things that you would do in a 504. An IEP is going to be more specific to the learning for your child, pulling them out of class, allowing them no homework. That's a biggie. You can put on the IEP for my child's individualized educational plan. I prefer them not to come home with homework because homework is going to frustrate them. They can only accommodate 6 hours worth of schooling. Once they're done with that, I want my child to be a child. So let's get everything done, or send them home with a packet that we can work on one day, and then they don't have to worry about it anymore.
That's
So
interesting.
those are the things that you can put into the individualized educational plan.
No, that's definitely interesting. It's kind of like creating an educational environment for your child that you can take at home, as well as
Mhm.
support them inside the classroom. And I think, parents in general, and me being a dad, we have to do a better job with advocating and even educating ourselves on these things enough so that we can be able to better advocate for them in the classroom, in their school
Yes.
systems, all of these different things. How did you know? Let's go back a little bit. How did you know, or the story, that got you to the point where you even recognized that your daughter had something going on with her that may be affecting her within the classroom?
So I've worked with children for over 30 years. So when I became a mom, I was a teacher mom. So I'm looking for all the signs to make sure that my daughter is developing the appropriate way. And my daughter was ahead of everything. Like, when I say she was potty trained at 18 months, she was talking at 10 months, walking at 10 months. So I felt, okay, my baby got it. I don't have to worry about anything. But then as she started to get older, I started to see the behaviors of when she did not understand something and how she would behave. So it
Mm,
was almost like, yes, she may be ahead in certain things, but there were certain things that she didn't understand. And so instead of her just coming to me and saying, Mommy, I don't understand it, because she's young, most young kids are not going to say that, she began to have behaviors. So
interesting.
then with me having that early childhood education, I'm like, something isn't right here. But of course, I went to the family first and, hey, first time mom, this is what she's doing. And everyone told me, oh, she's going to outgrow it. So I delayed my child, getting the help earlier because I listened to family, because they
Wow.
felt she was going to outgrow it. But me being a mom and that gut feeling, I'm like, no, something isn't right. So after a while, I was like, you know what? Nope. I'm not listening to you guys anymore. I'm going to take the teacher mom and me. And I brought my baby to the doctor. And that's when she was diagnosed with ADHD. And once she was diagnosed with ADHD, then I understood she had that attention deficit. So when it was something that maybe she wasn't paying attention to, that she didn't know how to voice it. So her behaviors started to develop.
Interesting. How did that make you feel as a mother? You know, I know I've talked to so many different parents in the educational system and just in general, and when they have a specific diagnosis, whether it's ADHD, whether it's Down syndrome, anything that, you know, they may have, they feel like they blame themselves, and there's an emotional, you know, just an emotional experience that they go through. And sometimes parents feel shame for that. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you feel and that what you felt and what that experience was for you?
Absolutely. When my daughter was diagnosed, I did feel some shame and guilt. Because I just kept feeling like I should have known. I known better. Why didn't I just take her to the doctor instead of listening to everyone else? I went through that. And then I went through, oh my God, how is she going to look in this world? Here I am, your favorite auntie, Auntie Donna, and my child has ADHD. So she's going to showcase behaviors. Oh my God, what is going to happen with she and I? Like, is that going to tarnish who I am? So I went through a lot of different steps based off of who I was. And with my baby, I wanted my baby to be this perfect child. And most parents do. You don't want your child to have labels. So what I had to do is I had to accept my baby and then accept, hey, you know what? Maybe it will help me to dig in deeper because I might have ADHD too.
Wow.
You know, so then I started digging deeper with myself and my journey with my mental health, with, you know, anything that could have happened when I was younger. Then I found out that I had a speech problem when I was younger.
Wow.
So then it helped me to help her because then I had a story to tell her. You know what? Mommy went through difficulties when she was younger too. So it actually helped me create a bond with her that most parents probably wouldn't even connect the two. I actually connected with her. Like, you know what? You're not alone. Not everybody in this world is free of labels. Mommy had a label too. So let's work on how we can combat these labels and show you and not the label.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. And, you know, I think that takes a level of true love and unconditional love to not disconnect and from a place really of misunderstanding. And you use this time to build a relationship on the societal labels that we have, and educate yourselves, unpack the different things in your life and then in her life, so that you can build this amazing bond that you have today. Can you offer, you know, some strategies that parents or any of our listeners can leverage, if maybe a nephew, a niece, or a daughter or a son or a child in general that they engage with can be able to help them through this process?
Absolutely. The first thing is to separate it. The name of my book is My Baby, Me, and ADHD. And the reason why I separated those two is because it's me and my baby, and she and I are working with this ADHD. So I wanted to separate the two because a lot of times they're like, oh, my child has ADHD. No, I don't want to classify my baby as that. So that's the first thing, is to disconnect the two. The child is a child. It's not a child with ADHD. Your child was labeled with ADHD.
I love that.
That's it. The second thing you want to do is structure and consistency. Consistency is so hard, even in adults. We lack consistency with ourselves. So I know on my journey, I had to learn consistency for myself in order to teach it to my daughter. So the journey is based off of the both of you. Whenever you're dealing with a child that has anything, it is based off of you and that child, because you're going to be on an inner work journey for yourself so that you can better help your child. So definitely in any of these journeys, whether it's ADHD, ODD, Down syndrome, take a look at yourself and how you can better help yourself so that you can better help your child, so that you are not labeling your child. Instead, you're allowing your child to accept themselves. And it's going to start with you accepting your child for exactly who they are.
I love that. And, you know, I think what I'm continuing to hear is mislabeling the labels.
Yes.
Because oftentimes we identify kids as so many different things that I believe stunts their growth. you know,
Yes.
ADHD, they're a bad child, they're too talkative, they're all of these different things, instead of recognizing that every single child is different and unique in their own way. What
Mm-hmm.
is one thing that you've learned about your child throughout this process of just being a mother that you're proud to say and that you'd be proud to share?
Let me tell you something. My baby is the most resilient child ever. And when I say she can pick up on things so quickly, she's a fast learner. And one thing about her, bless her little heart, she is an encourager. And I love that about her. Like, she might have a look, like she has this look all the time, but she's a preteen now. So it's like, I'm used to
Sure.
that look. But when it comes down to caring for someone, when it comes down to helping someone and being able to tell her story, as shy as she may try to seem, she'll tell somebody her story to try to help them.
Mm,
And that's what I love about her, because I built that up inside of her, because I am constantly telling my story and telling our story. And so she learns how to do that as well. And when I say a prankster, oh my gosh, she needs her own YouTube, because that's all she does to me all day long is prank. But I'm proud of her because she is doing this without medication, where
wow.
most parents put their child on medication. And I'm listen, you do what is best for you, but
Mhm.
I chose the unmedicated route because I wanted my baby to be in her natural element. So if she's funny and quirky and silly and do all kinds of crazy things, like hiding in my trunk and showing me that she can squeeze through a little hole to get in my trunk, let her be that person. Let your child be who they are and embrace that about them, because it could be funny. Some of the stuff that they do are really, really funny. And then teach them about boundaries.
Mm,
So, you know what? I know, for an example, with my child wants to be everyone's friend. So I tell her it's okay to be nice to people, but create a boundary for yourself so that you can protect yourself.
I love that.
So it's all about what you are doing for yourself and teaching it to your child. And
Anybody listening right now, anybody listening, if you're still with us, I want you to put embrace in the comment, embrace on the in the chat, because you have to embrace not just your child, but first yourself and all of
mhm,
the people around you. I think a lot of times we create all of these false opinions and false narratives around everything and everyone, and it
mhm,
continues to show the work, the internal work that we have to do. It starts with first accepting ourselves so that we can be able to be better with accepting other people as well. But one thing,
yes.
Donna, that you share in your book, in chapter 2, I believe, there's a scripture, Habakkuk 2:2-3, where it says, "Write down the vision, write it clearly on tablets, so whoever reads it can run it to tell others. The message will come true. It may seem like a long time, but be patient and wait for it, because it will surely come and it will not be delayed." And in
Yes.
this chapter, you talk about the importance of creating structure in an environment around your child that allows them to win. Can you talk a
Mhm.
little bit more about that, please?
Absolutely. So when my daughter was younger, what we did is we posted checklists, things to do. We labeled her drawers. Like, I did everything conducive of my child having an environment to where I don't have to repeat myself, because that's one of the things when you have a child with ADHD, it is repetition, repetition, repetition. So instead of me becoming that want, 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 want,
Mhm.
we put checklists all around. We, every single year from the time that she was labeled,
Mhm.
we created vision boards.
Okay.
So I would ask her, what does she want to accomplish in this year? And when I say I had her make it plain, instead of just, oh, I want to go outside and play. Well, what kind of games do you want to learn to play outside?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. And so then when she got more detailed, this is what we live by. And then we would go by the checklist. So your checklist in the morning routine. We had a morning routine written out on poster boards. You can make it as creative as you want to or as simple as you want to. But her morning routine was on a checklist with pictures: wash your face, brush your teeth, get dressed, smile, those simple things.
That's
Then when she goes inside of her room, pick out your outfit. And we had it all separated: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Every Sunday, we put her outfits together and I gave her a choice. You can choose what you want to put together. Mommy will make sure that is good. And this is what we're going to roll with. So it's all about just making sure that you make it plain for your child. And when I say put the vision out, you put the vision out for your child. So this is what we want to do. We want to be a mommy daughter duo that is phenomenal. That's between me and my daughter. We always say that we're the best mommy daughter duo in this world.
I love that.
We wrote it down, we made it plain, and that's what we're working for. It took patience. She's 12 now, and I'm 46, good. But we are still working toward that. And every day we keep strengthening ourselves for that best mommy-daughter duo.
Of course, of course. And I love that relationship that you're developing. One of the things that I'm doing with my son every morning, and we started this when he got to first grade, is every morning we do affirmations. So we clap it up in the morning right before he goes to school, and he has to deliver at least 5 to 10 affirmations. And I say, Carter, what's my 4 words? And he says, attitude, gratitude, respect, and truth every single morning. Because if you have a positive attitude, if you're grateful, if you're respectful to people, and you're honest, living in your truth, I believe you can navigate any space. But it takes it every single day. So like when I don't start it, he's like, Dad, we got to clap it up and do our affirmations. And it's consistency. It's that consistency that allows him to understand and grow and be developed. Can you talk to parents about, it's not just starting something, it's about remaining consistent. Can you talk to them about that a little bit?
So, and that's another chapter that I had in my book is consistency, because you have to stay consistent with it. And you even have to revamp it sometime. Like my daughter and I, we also do affirmations in the morning. It started with me going inside of her room. But then when she got a little bit older, she wanted her own space. So I allowed her her own space. So what we did is we have Alexa. So I will drop into her Alexa in the morning. That's the way that I wake her up. And then we say our affirmations together over Alexa. So it's all about keeping the consistency. And if you have to revamp it because kids are growing. There are certain things, like even with your son, he may not want you to clap it up because he might start getting embarrassed. So you might have to text it to him. You know what I mean? But it's still staying consistent. It's all about that consistency, because what you start with these babies and you build with them, you have to continue with it, because that's a seed. You're planting a seed, and then the consistency is watering it.
Oh, of course. And then something will be able to be harvested from that specific seed that you planted. It's interesting that we're having this conversation and a lot of the different things that we're seeing in America in regards to children and what they're doing and how they're not the same. But I think parents need to be held accountable, because sometimes a lot of the parents that I see are not the same as the parents that maybe raised us or, in our different times. And with that, with this resource that you've been able to create, you're not just helping the child, you're also empowering and holding the parent accountable to be able to be better and, look at yourself and do the internal work as well. Can you talk about the process of creating this resource and, this book, and how you feel now that you're getting ready to release it with the world?
So I feel great now that I'm getting ready to release it with the world, but I fought my demons. Oh my goodness, Kai. I fought my demons because, number one, I'm still a work in process, as well as my daughter. So I was kind of feeling a certain kind of way, because I'm like, I'm not all the way there yet. But then I had to pray, and I had to empower myself and realize that I'm not going to always be right there, or what I feel accomplished, because if you get to that level, then what else is there left for you to accomplish? You have to always be in a state of mind where you continue to grow and level up. And it was a lot of unlearning that I had to do with this process. I had to unlearn all of the behaviors that I was taught as a child, and that was brought to me. Well, you're a parent. It's what you say, go. I had to start releasing some of those ideologies, because they were not working for today's children. And it definitely was not working for my daughter, because this is what we were doing. And it becomes frustrating when you're doing this with someone that you love and you really want to just see succeed. So it just became a part where I was like, well, let me work on me, because obviously it's something going on with me. So I literally had to unpack. So the process of writing it all down in the book of how I unpacked, it was like unpacking again. So it was like that extra little baggage that I carried on the side. I unpacked it during the writing of this book.
I love that. I always tell people that before you can impact, you have to unpack, because before you can stand on stages and stand and be able to deliver and feel convicted about the message that you're talking about, you have to do the work
Yes.
and go through the process so that you can be able to connect and relate and honestly stand on your truth. And
Yes.
we've all been through it. What is the level of impact that you want to be able to have from this book, and why is that important for you?
So I want parents to be empowered reading my book. I also want this book to go to teachers so that they can understand the connection between home and school life, because a lot of parents and teachers disconnect, because you have teachers that are unfortunately in classes now saying, I got a class full of bad kids. Well, you don't. You have a class full of children that are active, and your level of activeness need to increase. That's my honest opinion. You know, you have to meet the child at their level. So if you're not someone that can move quickly, teaching may not be your thing in 2023, because you have to be quick on your feet. So that's what I want. I want the impact for the teachers, the parents, to know I am empowered to make sure that my child has everything that they need from school life to home life, and it's going to be flawless. Like, it should flow for the child, not be a struggle.
Of
So
course.
that's the impact that I want to make with my book.
I think creating that community and having a resource that can kind of bridge the parent, the student, and the teacher together is necessary, because there's resources for the parent, there's resources for the students, there's resources for the teacher, but you've created this kind of like this bridge between all of them and collectively working together so that we can be able to create this amazing experience, and so that this child can be exceptional and strive for excellence in a sense. You know,
Yes.
where can we find out more about you, Aunty Donna's house, the book, all of these different things online? You know, what can we find? Where can we find you?
Well, I have a website, auntydonnashouse.com, and it is spelled Aunty, Donna's, Donnas, house, house.com. I am on Instagram as underscore your favorite auntie. And again, auntie is spelled Aunty, and then it's another underscore after. I am also on TikTok at your favorite auntie one. I have a YouTube, which is Donna Hatcher, and it is also labeled Your Favorite Auntie. So if you want to search it that way, you can. We have a YouTube channel at Aunty Donna's house as well. So you can definitely find me. And on Facebook, I'm Donna Hatcher.
So Donna, just before we end, what is Aunty Donna's house?
Aunty Donna's House is an out of school program where we specialize in children with exceptionalities. We definitely have a high population of children with ADHD, because I consider myself the ADHD whisperer right now. So, and I base my program according to that. Like, we have 15-minute rotations, because we know that, children with ADHD, they don't stay still for a long period of time. So our rotations is only 15 minutes so that the children can continue to move. And we create a space where they can just be themselves. It's like coming to your favorite auntie's house. That's our tagline.
No, I love that. My last question for you is, I want you to, if you had 60 seconds to share a message, any message, with a parent or a teacher that are experiencing challenges with a student or with a child that has ADHD, what would you say?
I would say, start with yourself, unlearn, unpack, and then teach this baby how to be the best version of themselves as you learn the best version of you.
That's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to tell them one way or give them one question that you've either asked yourself or someone has asked to you during your unpacking journey, what would it be?
Why am I unlearning this behavior?
That's good. That's good. Donna, it's been an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Anybody still watching, visit AuntyDonnasHouse.com. Leverage all of her social media platforms. I want you to go support Aunty Donna's house online, donate, or send your child there to be able to go to their favorite auntie's house for a day, and then be able to be looking out for the book that is coming very, very soon. Donna, it's been a pleasure. There's another episode of the Writer's Game podcast where we help you monetize your message and magnify your voice. And we'll see you guys.
Thank you, Kyle. Have a